Have you ever felt it? That quiet hum of anxiety after a connection, a conversation that felt promising. You find yourself lying awake at night or staring into the middle distance during the day, your mind a relentless detective, replaying every single frame of the interaction. The way their eyes held yours for a fraction of a second too long, the specific cadence of their laughter, the angle of their body as they leaned in to hear you speak. You gather these fragments, these tiny pieces of evidence, and you try to assemble them into a coherent answer to the one question that echoes in the chambers of your heart. Do they like me? This process, this frantic attempt at emotional archaeology, feels like standing in a long, quiet hallway before a single, ornate, and firmly locked door. Behind that door, you imagine, is the warmth of connection, the light of acceptance, the feeling of being truly seen and wanted. And so you press your ear to the cold wood, trying to decipher the muffled sounds from within. You stare at the thin sliver of space beneath it, trying to interpret the flickering shadows. Was that a flicker of interest? Or just a draft? Was that sound a welcoming murmur? Or the sound of someone turning away? You spend hours, days, sometimes weeks, camped out in this hallway, convinced that if you can just be smart enough, just be observant enough, you can finally guess the combination. But the longer you stay there, the more the hallway seems to stretch into infinity. The door remains locked, and you feel a profound and depleting exhaustion settle into your bones. It's a loneliness that is somehow made sharper by the proximity to what you desire. You begin to believe that your worth is measured by your ability to pick this lock, that your happiness lies solely on the other side of this single door. If this feeling resonates with you, if you have ever felt like you are on the outside looking in, trying to solve a puzzle that only seems to create more questions, then I want you to know you are not alone in that hallway. I have walked its length many times myself, and I want to invite you to journey with me, here, together. By subscribing to Decode Explained, we can explore these hidden rooms and quiet hallways of the human heart, not to learn how to pick locks, but to find the keys that have been in our pockets all along, keys that can set us free. Let's walk this path together. When I was younger, that hallway was my home. I was a connoisseur of flickers and shadows. I believed that love and connection were a science of observation, and I, the dedicated researcher, would eventually crack the code. Now, as a clinical psychologist, I see this pattern in so many bright, caring, wonderful people. They come to me with binders full of data, screenshots, replayed conversations, detailed analyses of body language, all in service of solving the great mystery of another person's heart. And my heart aches for them because I know the truth. The more time we spend in that hallway analyzing the signals, the more we feed the very anxiety we're trying to soothe. We become so focused on the door that we forget to notice our own reflection in its polished surface. We forget that we are the ones choosing to wait there. We can even, through the sheer force of our focus and rumination, manufacture an obsession. We pour so much of our own precious energy, our thoughts, our hopes, our time, into the idea of what's behind that door, that the idea itself becomes intoxicating. We fall in love not with a person, but with the puzzle they represent. The cost of this hyper-focus is immense. It robs us of our peace. It tethers our self-esteem to the ambiguous whims of another. And worst of all, it rarely, if ever, gets us any closer to the truth. So, why do we do this? Why are we so drawn to the idea of decoding signals, of finding the tells that will unlock another person's intentions? It's tempting, isn't it? It feels like gaining a secret knowledge. We see articles and videos promising to teach us the science of body language, the secret signs of attraction, and there is a kernel of truth there. Researchers have indeed compiled lists of these behaviors. A fascinating, large-scale meta-analysis confirmed that when people feel romantic attraction, they do tend to exhibit certain reliable behaviors. More frequent eye contact, more smiling and laughing, mimicking the other person's posture, moving physically closer. It sounds like a perfect checklist, a decoder ring for the human heart. Problem solved. But as I, and perhaps you, have discovered, when you take this checklist out into the messy, beautiful, complicated real world, it falls apart. The signals are contradictory. One moment, the light under the door is bright and warm. They're laughing at your jokes, holding your gaze. The next, it's gone. They seem distant. Their attention is elsewhere. You're left in the hallway, more confused than ever. Did I do something wrong? Was the flicker of light just my imagination? Did they like me yesterday, but not today? This checklist, which promised clarity, only gives us more variables to obsess over, more data points for our endless analysis. It doesn't differentiate the genuine prospects from the polite, the interested from the friendly. It just gives us more shadows to chase. The reason this decoding fails us so profoundly is rooted in a few deep human truths that we must understand if we are to ever leave that hallway. And the first, and most important, is this: the signals are not the message. Imagine that same research study for a moment. They identified the behaviors of romantic attraction. But then, they did something brilliant. They also looked at the behaviors of people who felt simple, platonic, friendly attraction, people who just genuinely liked someone as a friend. And what did they find? The exact same list of behaviors. The eye contact, the laughter, the mimicry, the warmth, they were identical. This is the foundational crack in our decoding strategy. The behaviors we've been taught to see as signs of romantic interest are, in fact, simply signs of human connection. They are signals of warmth, trust, and rapport. They are the universal language we use to say, "I enjoy your presence. I feel safe with you. You are one of my people." And while this warmth is an essential foundation for any romantic relationship, it is also the foundation for friendship, for familial bonds, for good-spirited colleagues. The language for "I like you" and "I like you" is, from the outside, often indistinguishable. The friendly, outgoing person who makes everyone feel special will send out 1,000 false positives. Their light shines brightly under every door, not because they want to invite everyone in, but because they are simply a bright and warm person. We stand there, interpreting their inherent warmth as a special invitation, only to find that they are just being themselves. This isn't a malicious act. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the language of the heart. Furthermore, even if we could somehow perfectly isolate a true, unambiguous signal of flirtation, we're still standing on shaky ground. The author and researcher Brené Brown speaks of the concept of vulnerability as the birthplace of connection. True connection requires the courage to be seen without knowing the outcome. And what is our obsessive signal reading if not a desperate attempt to avoid this very vulnerability? We are trying to find certainty before we take a risk. We are trying to know the outcome of the battle before we even step onto the field. Flirtation itself is a dance with this ambiguity. By its very nature, it is the art of suggesting interest without confirming it. It's a playful volley, a gentle test of the waters. So, to treat a flirtatious sign as a confirmed declaration of intent is to misunderstand the game entirely. People flirt because it's fun, because they're bored, because it's a way to feel alive and validated, or yes, because they are genuinely interested in something more. The signal itself doesn't tell you which it is. It's a beautiful, shimmering, but ultimately hollow clue. And here, we must be truly honest with ourselves. The interpretation of these signals has very little to do with the signals themselves, and everything to do with the person interpreting them. The great psychologist Carl Jung gave us the concept of projection He taught us that we often project the contents of our own unconscious mind onto the outside world. That locked door is a perfect blank screen for our deepest hopes and fears. If you carry a deep-seated belief that you are unworthy of love, what Jung might call a shadow aspect of your personality, you will interpret every ambiguous signal through that lens. A warm smile becomes, "They're just being polite." A compliment is dismissed as, "They say that to everyone." You will find 1,000 reasons why the light under the door couldn't possibly be for you. Your fear of rejection is the gatekeeper, whispering in your ear that it's safer to stay in the hallway than to risk the door opening only to be slammed in your face. Conversely, we all know people who live on the other end of this spectrum. They see a flicker of light and imagine a bonfire. They interpret basic human decency as a profound romantic overture. Their internal world, filled with a need for admiration or perhaps a deep-seated optimism, projects a story of seduction onto every interaction. Neither interpretation is objective reality. It is a story we tell ourselves, based on the blueprint of our own inner world. Anxious attachment styles might make us hyper-vigilant, seeing threats and signs of withdrawal in every shadow, while avoidance styles might lead us to preemptively decide the door isn't worth opening at all. We are not objective scientists collecting data. We are storytellers, and we are casting the other person in a role, in a play we've already written in our own minds. And our bodies believe these stories. As Dr. Bessel van der Kolk has so powerfully illustrated, our bodies keep the score. The constant uncertainty of decoding signals is perceived by our nervous system as a threat. The fear of social rejection is not a trivial matter. For our primal brains, being cast out from the tribe was a death sentence. And so, as you stand in that hallway analyzing, your body is in a low-grade state of fight or flight. Your cortisol levels rise, your heart beats a little faster, your mind races. This isn't just a mental exercise. It is a full-body experience of stress. It is profoundly and physically exhausting. This is the true cost of waiting in the hallway. We are not only wasting our time, we are draining our life force on a puzzle that was never meant to be solved this way. So, if the signals lie, if our interpretations are biased, and if the whole process is a recipe for anxiety, where does that leave us? It leaves us at a moment of profound liberation. It leaves us at the threshold of a new understanding. The breakthrough is not learning to become a better detective. It is not about finding a more accurate checklist or a more powerful decoding ring. The breakthrough is realizing that we have been trying to pick the lock from the outside, when the entire time we've had a key. This realization came to me when I stumbled upon an idea from evolutionary psychology called costly signaling theory. The premise is simple but transformative. The only signals you can truly trust are the ones that are costly to produce. A peacock's tail is a trustworthy signal of its genetic fitness because it's incredibly costly. It requires immense energy to grow and maintain, and it makes the peacock much more vulnerable to predators. It's a signal that is hard to fake. Now, let's apply this to our own world. A smile is wonderful, but it is cheap. It costs nothing to produce. The same goes for a quick glance, a polite laugh, a warm compliment. These are the beautiful, but cheap, currencies of social interaction. They are not reliable indicators of deep interest because they require no real sacrifice. What, then, is a costly signal in the world of human connection? It is investment. Investment of resources that are finite and precious to every single one of us. Our time, our energy, our focus, our vulnerability. This is the key. You stop looking for flickers of light and you start looking for tangible acts of investment. An investment is when someone chooses to give you their time when they could be doing a million other things. It's when they expend the mental energy to remember the details of a story you told them and ask about it later. It is when they take an emotional risk, sharing something personal and real about themselves. It is when they move from passive, pleasant conversation to active, intentional action. This is the mutual investment model. It reframes everything. Your job is no longer to be a passive observer in the hallway. Your job is to stop analyzing and start participating. And the way you participate is by making and asking for small, appropriate investments. The key is not a battering ram. You are not trying to force the door open. The key is a gentle, curious question. It is a small bid for connection that asks for a small investment in return. After a pleasant conversation, instead of going home to analyze every word, you make a simple move. You say, "I've really enjoyed talking to you. Would you be interested in getting coffee sometime?" This is the turning of the key. And in that moment, the ambiguity that has tortured you dissolves. It has to, because they can no longer respond with a cheap signal. They cannot answer your question with a smile or by mimicking your posture. They have to answer with an investment or a lack thereof. If they say, "Yes, I'd love that. How about Tuesday?" they have just invested. They have committed a future slice of their most valuable asset, their time, to you. They have helped you turn the key. The door has opened a crack. But if they say, "Oh, that's so nice of you, but I'm just so busy right now," with no follow-up, no alternative offer, then they have chosen not to invest. The key did not turn. And here is the most freeing part of all. Both answers are a gift. Both answers get you out of the hallway. One answer invites you into a room of potential connection. The other answer gives you the priceless gift of clarity, allowing you to walk away from that door with your energy, your dignity, and your peace of mind intact, free to find a door that is meant for you. The goal is not to get into every room. The goal is to stop wasting your life in the hallway. Your mantra becomes, if you're not sure, ask for more. Not in a demanding or entitled way, but in a gentle, curious way that matches the current level of your interaction. You don't ask for marriage on a first meeting. You ask for a coffee. You match their investment. If they text you, you text them back. If they make a plan, you show up. If things feel one-sided, with you making all the investments, you now have the data you need. It's not a balanced connection. It's time to pull back your own energy. When I truly embraced this, everything changed. Dating and connecting became lighter, more joyful. During conversations, my mind was no longer a frantic scanner, checking off boxes. I was just present, enjoying the simple act of getting to know another human being. My goal wasn't data collection, it was connection, and afterward, there was no agonizing rumination. There was only a simple, clear next step. If I enjoyed it, I would offer a small invitation for more. The results were fascinating. Many of the people who I would have sworn were interested, the ones who gave off all the right signals, gracefully declined any form of investment. They were just friendly. They were just flirty. The locked door I had obsessed over was never meant to be opened, and I felt nothing but relief, because I hadn't wasted weeks of my life trying to guess the combination. Even more importantly, I started discovering connections I would have otherwise missed entirely. I found that some people, often because they are shy, anxious, or simply more reserved, keep their light under a bushel. They don't give off the cheap signals. Their hallway is dark. The door looks cold and uninviting. But when I, operating from this new model, took a small risk and turned the key, offered an invitation for a small investment, I was often met with a surprising and enthusiastic yes. I had a wonderful, long-term relationship in my 20s with a woman who, had I been relying on the old checklist of body language, I would have concluded disliked me. She was quiet and guarded, but she was willing to invest her time. And in that shared time, a beautiful connection blossomed. I would have walked right past her door. This is the final, most profound truth. In learning to trust investment over signals, you are making the ultimate investment in yourself. You are declaring that your time is valuable. You are affirming that your energy is precious. You are honoring your own peace of mind. You stop abandoning yourself in the cold, lonely hallway of another person's ambiguity. You come home to yourself. You realize that the person behind the locked door was also you, the part of you that you kept locked away while you were busy trying to please and decode others. The journey out of the hallway is a journey back to your own center. It is about building a life so full, a heart so at peace, that you approach connection not from a place of desperate need, but from a place of joyful curiosity. You are not looking for someone to rescue you from your loneliness. You are looking for someone who is willing to walk alongside you, someone who will gladly meet your investment with their own, someone who wants to build something together, brick by brick, moment by moment. You learn to find beauty not in the ambiguous flicker of a distant light, but in the solid, tangible warmth of a hand that reaches out to help you turn the key